In the heart of the lush green land of Umuoma, life was simple and peaceful. The villagers lived in harmony, following the traditions passed down through generations. The village was surrounded by tall palm trees and fertile fields, where the people grew their crops and raised their animals. Every morning, the air was filled with the sounds of roosters crowing and children laughing as they played. The people of Umuoma were known for their kindness and strong sense of community, always ready to help one another in times of need. Amara, a young woman with a heart as pure as gold, was beloved by all. She was known for her beauty, with her dark, curly hair and bright, sparkling eyes. Amara spent her days helping her family with chores and caring for the younger children in the village. She had a gentle spirit and a smile that could light up the darkest night. Everyone in Umuoma admired her, and many young men hoped to win her heart. But Amara's life was about to change in ways she could never have imagined. Amara's kindness was legendary in Umuoma. She would often visit the elderly, bringing them food and helping with their daily tasks. Her laughter was like music, bringing joy to those around her. One day, while fetching water from the river, Amara noticed a small bird with a broken wing. Without hesitation, she gently picked up the bird and took it home. She cared for it, feeding it and nursing it back to health. The villagers watched in awe as the bird grew stronger under Amara's care, eventually flying away to freedom. Amara's selflessness extended to everyone she met. She would share her food with those who had none and offer a comforting word to anyone in distress. Her actions did not go unnoticed. The village elders often spoke of her as a shining example of what it meant to be a true daughter of Umuoma. But while Amara's kindness brought her many friends, it also caught the attention of someone with darker intentions. Okoro, the village's native doctor, had been watching Amara closely, and he was about to set his sinister plan into motion. Okoro was a man of great power and influence in Umuoma. As the village's native doctor, he was respected and feared by many. He was known for his knowledge of herbs and his ability to communicate with the spirits. But beneath his calm exterior lay a heart filled with greed and ambition. Okoro had always been attracted to Amara, but the laws of the land forbade him from marrying her. Determined to have her, he devised a wicked plan that would change the course of Amara's life forever. Okoro began by spreading rumors that the gods had chosen Amara to bear a divine child. He claimed that the spirits had spoken to him in a dream, revealing that Amara would give birth to a demigod who would bring prosperity to Umuoma. The villagers, in awe of Okoro's powers, believed his every word. They treated Amara with great reverence, thinking she was blessed by the gods. But in truth, Okoro had used his charms to deceive Amara and had taken advantage of her. He hoped that by claiming the child was divine, he could cover up his crime and elevate his status in the village. As the news of Amara's supposed divine pregnancy spread, the village was filled with excitement. The people of Umuoma began preparing grand celebrations and offerings to honor the gods for their blessing. They brought gifts to Amara, showering her with praise and adoration. But Amara was filled with confusion and fear. She knew something was wrong, but felt powerless to speak out against Okoro. The native doctor had a strong hold over the villagers, and Amara feared that no one would believe her if she told the truth. Okoro, meanwhile, reveled in his newfound power. He enjoyed the attention and respect he received from the villagers, who now saw him as a messenger of the gods. But his deception was not without its challenges. Amara's growing belly was a constant reminder of his crime, and he knew that he had to maintain his lies to keep his secret safe. As the months passed, Okoro's web of deceit grew more complex, and the tension in the village began to rise. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation that would change the lives of everyone in Umuoma. The villagers of Umuoma were completely taken in by Okoro's deception. They believed that Amara was carrying a divine child, and their excitement grew with each passing day. They brought gifts of food, cloth, and jewelry to Amara, hoping to gain favor with the gods. The village elders organized special ceremonies to honor the gods and seek their blessings for the unborn child. The air was filled with anticipation and reverence, and Amara was treated like a queen. Despite the outward celebrations, Amara's heart was heavy with fear and confusion. She felt trapped in a web of lies, unable to escape Okoro's control. She longed to tell someone the truth, but she feared that no one would believe her. Okoro's influence was strong, and the villagers trusted him completely. Amara prayed for a way out, hoping that someone would see through the deception and help her. As Amara's belly grew, so did her sense of dread. She could feel the eyes of the villagers on her wherever she went, their whispers and glances making her feel even more isolated. She spent her days in a state of constant anxiety, unsure of what the future held. The weight of Okoro's lies pressed down on her, and she struggled to find a way to break free. One evening, as the sun set over the village, Amara sat by the river, lost in thought. She watched the water flow gently past, wishing she could be as free as the river. Suddenly, she heard a rustling in the bushes behind her. She turned to see Neka, the wise old woman of the village, approaching. Neka's eyes were filled with concern as she sat down beside Amara. "Child," she said softly, "I can see the pain in your eyes. Tell me what troubles you." Amara hesitated, but the kindness in Neka's eyes gave her the courage to speak. She poured out her heart, telling Neka everything about Okoro's deception and her fears. Neka listened intently, her expression growing more serious with each word. When Amara finished, Neka placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Do not worry, my child," she said. "The spirits have revealed the truth to me. We will find a way to expose Okoro's lies and set you free." That night, Neka had a vivid dream. In her dream, the spirits appeared to her, showing her the truth about Okoro's deception. They revealed how he had used his charms to deceive Amara and the villagers, and how he had taken advantage of her. The spirits urged Neka to act quickly, to gather the villagers and expose Okoro's lies before it was too late. Neka woke up with a start, her heart pounding with urgency. She knew she had to act quickly. She dressed and made her way to the village square, where she began to gather the villagers. One by one, they came, curious to hear what Neka had to say. When everyone was assembled, Neka began to speak. She told them about her dream and the truth that the spirits had revealed to her. At first, the villagers were skeptical. They had trusted Okoro for so long that it was hard for them to believe he could be capable of such deceit. But Neka's reputation for honesty and her deep connection to the spirits made them listen. She urged them to seek the truth and not blindly follow Okoro's words. The villagers began to murmur among themselves, their trust in Okoro starting to waver. As Neka spoke, the villagers began to see the cracks in Okoro's story. They remembered the strange way he had acted, the inconsistencies in his claims. Slowly, doubt began to creep into their minds. They realized that they had been too quick to believe Okoro without questioning his motives. The villagers decided to confront Okoro and demand that he prove his claims about Amara and the divine child. The next morning, the villagers gathered outside Okoro's hut. They called for him to come out and face them. Okoro, sensing the shift in their attitude, tried to use his charms to calm them. But the villagers were no longer under his spell. They demanded answers, and Okoro found himself cornered and desperate. He tried to weave more lies, but the villagers saw through his deceit. They realized the extent of his treachery and were filled with anger and betrayal. Neka stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Okoro, the spirits have revealed your lies. You have deceived us all and brought shame to our village. It is time for the truth to come out." The villagers, emboldened by Neka's words, demanded that Okoro confess. Okoro, realizing he had no way out, tried to flee, but the villagers blocked his path. They were determined to see justice done. Amara, standing with Neka, felt a surge of courage. She stepped forward and spoke, her voice trembling but clear. "Okoro lied to all of you. He used his charms to deceive me and claimed that I was carrying a divine child to cover up his crime. I am not blessed by the gods, I am a victim of his deceit." The villagers listened in stunned silence, their anger growing with each word. The villagers, now fully aware of Okoro's treachery, turned on him. They demanded that he leave the village and never return. Okoro, seeing no other option, tried to use his charms one last time, but the villagers were no longer under his spell. They saw him for what he truly was, a deceitful man who had betrayed their trust. With no other choice, Okoro fled the village, leaving behind his reputation and his power. As Okoro disappeared into the forest, the villagers turned their attention to Amara. They were filled with sorrow and regret for what she had endured. They promised to support her and protect her from any further harm. Amara, though still shaken, felt a sense of relief. The truth was finally out, and she was no longer alone. Okoro wandered through the forest, his mind racing with thoughts of revenge. He knew he could never return to Umuoma, but he was determined to find a way to regain his power. He sought out other villages, hoping to use his charms to deceive them, as he had done in Umuoma. But word of his treachery had spread, and no village would take him in. Okoro's desperation grew, and he became a shadow of his former self, wandering aimlessly and plotting his next move. Meanwhile, in Umuoma, the villagers began to rebuild their lives. They worked together to heal the wounds left by Okoro's deception. Amara, with the support of Neka and the villagers, began to find peace. She focused on caring for her unborn child, knowing that she was surrounded by people who truly cared for her. With Okoro gone, Amara found the courage to speak out about her experience. She shared her story with the villagers, hoping to prevent others from falling victim to similar deceptions. Her bravery inspired many, and the villagers began to see her not just as a victim, but as a strong and resilient woman. They admired her for her courage and determination, and they vowed to protect her and her child. Amara's story spread beyond Umuoma, reaching neighboring villages. People came to hear her speak, and she became a symbol of hope and strength. Her experience taught the villagers the importance of seeking the truth and standing up against those who would deceive them. Amara's voice became a powerful force for change, and her story inspired many to stand up for what was right. The villagers of Umuoma were filled with anger and sorrow for what Amara had endured. They realized that they had been too quick to believe Okoro without questioning his motives. They vowed to never let such deception happen again. The village elders called a meeting to discuss how they could prevent future abuses of power. They decided to establish new rules to ensure that no one person could hold too much influence over the village. The villagers also decided to honor Amara for her bravery. They held a special ceremony to celebrate her strength and resilience. Amara was deeply moved by the outpouring of support and love from her community. She knew that she was not alone, and that the villagers would stand by her no matter what. As the months passed, Amara's belly grew, and the villagers eagerly awaited the arrival of her child. They prepared a special hut for her, filled with soft blankets and comforting herbs. When the time came, the women of the village gathered around Amara, offering their support and encouragement. Nika led the way, guiding Amara through the process with gentle hands and wise words. After hours of labor, Amara gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The villagers rejoiced, celebrating the arrival of new life. They named the child Chidi, which means God exists, as a reminder of the strength and resilience that had brought them through their trials. Amara held her son close, feeling a deep sense of love and gratitude. She knew that despite the hardships she had faced, she was surrounded by a community that cared for her and her child. With the birth of Chidi, the village of Umuoma entered a new chapter. The villagers worked together to create a bright future for Amara and her son. They built a new home for them, filled with love and laughter. Amara found joy in watching Chidi grow, surrounded by the warmth and support of the village. She taught him about the importance of honesty and the strength of the human spirit, hoping to instill in him the values that had helped her overcome her own challenges. The villagers also learned from their experience. They became more vigilant, questioning those in power and seeking the truth for themselves. They established new traditions to ensure that no one person could hold too much influence over the community. The bonds of trust and love that had been tested by Okoro's deception grew stronger, creating a united and resilient village. The story of Amara and Okoro became a powerful lesson for the people of Umuoma. They learned the importance of seeking the truth and standing up against those who would deceive them. The village elders incorporated these lessons into their teachings, passing them down to future generations. They emphasized the value of honesty, integrity, and the strength of the human spirit. Amara's bravery and resilience became an inspiration to all. Her story was told and retold, reminding the villagers of the power of truth and the importance of supporting one another. The village of Umuoma thrived, united by the bonds of trust and love. They knew that, no matter what challenges they faced, they could overcome them together. As the years passed, Amara's son Chidi grew into a strong and kind young man. He was loved by all in the village, and he carried the lessons of his mother's bravery and the village's unity in his heart. Chidi often sat with Neka, listening to her stories and learning about the spirits and the wisdom of their ancestors. He became a bridge between the old ways and the new, helping to guide Umuoma into a bright future. Amara found happiness in watching her son grow and thrive. She continued to be a pillar of strength and kindness in the village, always ready to help those in need. The bonds of love and trust that had been forged through hardship only grew stronger with time. The village of Umuoma remained a place of peace and prosperity, where the power of truth and the strength of the human spirit were celebrated every day.